Good afternoon, everyone. This is so great, and I didn't have no idea if how many people we're gonna have. I'm so glad we got so many of you here. I'm very excited. Especially, I'm very excited. We have a different range of the writers. We have young writers and we have mature writers. Welcome. Come on in, sweetie. Yes, yes. So sit in front. Yeah. So I'm going to start calling people from the back, I promise. You're going to regret. So everybody get a handout? Yeah, Jojo's making more copies too. So what I want to do is I want to first talk a little bit about the books, writing and the publishing. But what I truly want to do, I'm here for you. So I want to make sure I can answer your questions and whatever you want to know. I know some of you are more experienced writers. Some of you are thinking about to be a writer. Some of you want to be a writer. So I hope I can, tailor to all your needs. And the first thing I want to say is I never thought I would be a writer because I'm writing in my second language. And even there's days when I would struggle with one sentence for hours, I thought I could have do something different than this. This is difficult. Second writing in second language, that's pretty much every day I'm struggle, have to write. And because I'm a perfectionist, everything I write has to be the perfect. So that's what make it very, very long and difficult. But I can't imagine anything else I would do. Every time I finish a book, I would tell my husband, I said, this is the last book I will write. He would just laugh. He said, ha, ha, ha. I would believe that. And then, of course, a month later, I'm starting a new book. Before I left here, my two publishers want me to write the next book. I said, no, I need a break. But I just started, I can't wait to go home. Almost like I enjoy the ship so much, but I already have planned how I'm going to start. I'm going to start two new books as soon as I get home. And I already have the idea what I want to write. So with all that said, I think to be a writer, number one most important thing is write for your passion. You should only write, for me, is write something really in your heart. And another thing is for me, writing is not just writing. It's really how I cope with life. Life sometimes can get a challenge, boring, and difficult. And writing is what helped me. And when I write fiction, it transformed me to another world. I could care less about what's happening around me. And the story I want to tell you is when I moved to California about 10 years ago, it was the height of the market. And we moved into the town because of good school. The housing was just crazy. And I have this vision. I want my house next to the trail so I can walk, I can write. But there's nothing for sale. Every time when they have something sale, there's 20 people bidding it. We submitted 10 bid, we keep losing it. We just can't, people going crazy. We live in a rental home, not comfortable at all. That was the time when I was working on the Revolution and the Banquet. When I look back, my son would keep saying, he said, Mom, that was such a terrible house. I don't really remember much. All I remember is I was writing my book. I was so in the midst of my work, and I wrote I was very happy. So it doesn't matter to me. And until we waited for 3.5 years, we bought my perfect home, perfect location. And everyone else would just think it was, we moved from a very beautiful home to a terrible rental, but I was in another world. But with all that said, I think writing really helped me cope through, losing my parents. And every time I think, everybody has a New York Times bestseller in them. It's how you're going to find that. If you're willing to put your time and effort to write it. Like I heard some of your story, I just said, oh, you must write this. It's just, it'll be a wonderful book. But many people have a good story. Many people want to be a good writer. I teach at a many writers conference, and not everyone can come through. The number one thing I think is most important to be a writer is discipline. You need to have the discipline. You're willing to put the time and the effort to write. I am not mean you have to sit in front of a computer 8 hours a day. I don't do that. Weeks goes by, I don't write one word. But when I do sit in front of a computer, I already have something in my head. I can't wait to Like right now, when I go home, I can't wait to start my new book. Another thing is you have to embrace the criticism. That's very important. Welcome. I have no writers work on a book for 8 years, but they never show anybody. And this writer, I met her about 7 years ago, and she was working on a book. I said, "Who has read your work?" He said, "My husband." I said, "What did he say?" He said it's wonderful. And I said, "Of course, he know better, right?" So, and I said, "You should show other people," but she's not, and she's still not published, and she does not even get a rejection letter from the editor. She got those standard rejection letter. You know, the editor don't even. That means the whatever she wrote never even passed the stage of the intern. You know, we're talking about traditional good publisher. When you send the work to them, they always have an intern read your work. And I go to publish house all the time. Those interns, they sit around the lunch hour, they get thousands mails, and you basically have almost 1 minute time to catch their attention. Yes or no. They throw to the pile. Once in a while, they find a good one, pass down to the editor. If you can get a handwritten rejection letter from the editor, that means you're a very good writer. You should be very happy. You should read that letter over and over again to see what you can do to make it better. So, write it for a passion. So I can't imagine if you don't really passionate about your subject, somebody want to go through all that trouble to write it. And write what you know. You know, that's very important. I know writers, they research, they're going to write the work, but that's a lot of work, and you really show if you really know your subject or not. That's why if you had a life experience and you know what you're writing, it will come through. It'll make it so much easier, especially if you have the passion. Research the market, and once you decide what you write, there's a different reason people write. Some people write just for therapy. They just write, and they don't worry about publishing. If you want to get it published, and that means you should research the market. What's on the market, and how my book compared to other book. You should always ask your question, why would they need my book? There's so many books. In United States, there's about 5,000 copies book published every year. That's just from traditional publisher. We're not counting the the self-publishing writer. And average book only sell 5,000 copies. So, and if the book can stay in print, and now the bookstore is closing, but it used to be the fiction only stay on the shelf for 8 days. If you make it, you make it. If you don't make it, they take off the shelf. The new book comes through. So that's why I always tell, if it's easy to get published, you can always self-publish it, but it's not easy to publish well. And every time when I write something, I always tell myself, I'm not going to waste my time to write it, unless it's the best book can be, an award-winning book, and it's going to stay in print forever. One of my first book is still in print. It's 18 years old, and it's been in many printing. And there's Runaway Walk is one of my picture book, and another one was Runaway Rice Cake. I was so happy in Singapore. They just featured it in the Singapore Literary Council and all that. I'm just honored, the book. So that's, it's really rewarding when you write a good work and it stay in print. So let's see. I think I should stop for a minute here. And I want to do a little fun exercise. To be a writer, another thing is, I want to back up a little bit. When I help other people want to become a writer, I get invited to speak writers' workshop all the time. I read many writers have been writing for many years. Many times I feel very humble. Those people can write so well. They can use those beautiful words. They have a long passage. And I don't think I can ever write like that. One thing I found is many times I'm asking is, after 3 paragraphs, I'm saying, what are you trying to say? I can say this in 3 sentences. So that's what, who gets published, who didn't get. It's okay, good writing is important. You can work on your language, like I'm working in my second language. The difficult is the good structure. The structure is what sells your book. If you have a good structure, it's possible someone can help you. There's a copy editor, and there's an editor can help you. You have a good story, good structure. If you just have this beautiful words, there's no structure, you go in all different directions, that's very difficult for somebody to help you. It's like I always tell people, writing is like building a house. You need to have a good foundation. You have a frame. So how you build that frame is like when I write a fiction, I build this house when I exercise, when I cook, when I go places. I observe people, my new character. So once you have a house built, you're thinking about putting in the furniture. That part, is easier than the structure. If your foundation is not good, a furniture is going to be crooked and it's not going to be in the right place. And then once you've put in your furniture, that's when the copy editor come in, and we talk about you choose your paint color, you choose your decoration, your panels. So that's the last stage. So there's 3 different stages. Now, many writers get it wrong. They start putting in the furniture long before they have a foundation, good structure. And that's what happens. Some people work on their story. Like my first book, it took me 7 years. I didn't know better. I was learning. And even though at the end it was a wonderful award-winning book, but many times I have to remove my furniture and sometimes to change the paint, destroy all the paint color, and to rebuild the foundation. My foundation was not good. So now what I'm saying is I learn is I always make sure my foundation is good before I put in effort to put in the furniture and the paint. So when you write, I think, many of you probably have experience. Sometimes you have a conversation with someone, and they talk a lot, and then when you walk away, you start asking yourself, what did they just say to me? I spent a half an hour with this person. Could they just tell me all this in 10 minutes? Did you feel that? I don't know. I often wonder. And when I go to the party, I think as I get older, became a writer, I like to observe people. I sometimes like just observe people. Being a writer, you're supposed to observe your scene, your character around you. So when you write, you think about each word was like a diamond. Would you want to waste your diamond? So every word has to count. With all that being said, I want to do a fun exercise. I'll give you 1 minute to think. I want everybody think of 3, I will give each of you 3 sentences. You can tell me about what you want to work on, or you can say whatever, or tell me about who you are, whatever you want. Has to be different, has to be unique. Just think about a hook. Something will catch someone's attention. 3 sentences. That's not many words. Short sentences. I don't want to end and the comma and the comma and the comma. And to see if I would love to know why you're here. What are you thinking you're working on? Can you say all this? If you're here, you have a project you're working on, can you say it in 3 sentences and let all of us get an idea what you're working on? Or tell us who you are. Why are you here? Okay. I said I would call people from the back. We'll see. Whoever's ready can go first. You can write it down, and then we can.
Are there any more handouts?
Jojo is printing it. I have one here.
I didn't bring a pen, so.
There's a pen. There's a pen there. There's notepad and pen. Anybody else need a notepad and pen? You can grab a whole bunch. Everybody have pen or notepad?
Anyone else want to say? They're free. No charge. You want one to take on the road?
So, do we have enough pen? Do you need a notepad?
That way I won't crash.
You can do it. You can do it. Are you ready? You look very calm, very ready. You're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, stand up. I can barely see you. You should have sit in front. Oh, would you like to sit in front? Okay, you can sit back.
When I grow up, I want to be a writer. I have so many ideas and lots of imagination, but I don't know how to make good actual stories.
You don't know how to make. Oh, I didn't get your last part. Read that last sentence again.
But I don't know how to make stories. I don't know
How to make a story.
lay it out.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Okay, very good. That's wonderful. Okay, she wants to be a writer, and she wants to. Don't know how to make a story. Good. Okay. Next, who wants to be the?
Mine's just a couple sentences.
You're only supposed to have a couple sentences, right?
The boy with holes in his shoes, from one pair of shoes each year to hundreds of shoes to choose from.
Is that the beginning of a story?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay, we have some wonderful writer here. Okay. Karen, are you ready?
Well, researching and teaching are what I am about. What we get to learn on this ship is just priceless, and I'm hoping to open doors to these different worlds that we travel to middle readers, 10, 15-year-old readers. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
Very good. Okay, so you want to write the middle grade for the middle grade. Good, good, wonderful, very good. Okay, who else? You must follow your wife.
The all-white-dressed Michelin man came right into right out of Alistair MacLean's novel. He was Colonel Gaddafi's hitman, and he wanted to talk.
What do you think? That's what I keep telling him the whole time. He must write this book. What a hook. And isn't that a great hook? Very good. Very good. Okay.
I'll try. I wasn't big on my husband, but end of the world as we know it. A phone call to pick up the remains of a life to be understood.
Wow.
A single necklace will say it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so many. That's a great hook. Very good. You guys.
Okay, I'll give you one I've already used.
Okay.
Well, it was published many years ago.
Uh-huh.
No one is surprised when I tell them that the world's biggest tax haven is on an island. But they are surprised when I tell them the name of that island is Manhattan.
Whoa, that is wonderful. That is very strong hook, and yeah, what a surprise! I keep
Yeah.
thinking, what? How? Yeah.
It was a book on tax havens. It was published in 1975 and was reasonably successful.
I bet. I bet. Is it still in print?
I didn't put it, well, I don't know. Actually it is. It's a 4th edition now.
Wow, that's
But
to say a
I'm not
lot.
writing it anymore. I'm retired. I quit. But the 2 other people are updating it, and it's now in 2 volumes.
Wonderful,
So it still
wonderful.
exists. Yeah, but it was a technical book, basically.
Well, good writing will live forever. It doesn't matter they're technical or not, right? Thank you for sharing. Very good, very good. Your husband ran away. Is he?
No, he's a chicken.
Just because
He
accident.
heard exercise.
Exercise, he ran away. Left you here by yourself.
I said because my story is unique and historical, my father's history from Albania to Australia.
Wow.
It's quite a story.
Okay. So you're thinking about writing a memoir, or?
I always write.
Okay.
I mean, I just write and write and write and write.
Isn't it wonderful? I'm thinking for those of us who write, you really.
I figure if I don't write it, the future children won't know it, and I know it all because I've been to Albania and I've researched it in America and interviewed relatives. And
Wonderful.
what my father went through was pretty horrific. And
Good, good. Okay.
I write for my family, really.
Thanks so much for sharing. I can't wait to get to know more of your writing and read some of your more stories. Do you have something here?
I'm here for Sophie.
Okay, let your daughter take your.
Sophie here.
Sophie will read.
to be a good mother.
She's here to put her daughter, Sophie.
I think she is a talented writer, as do her teachers. And I just, whether she is a writer or not, I think it's such a great thing to be able to write well. For
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm
She's such a good.
that's what I have. I mean, that's why I'm here.
That is so sweet.
Alright, well, I want to make my mark on the world, and words can create a whole world.
Wait, slow down. I didn't get the whole full sentence. Slowly. Just say, okay, you want, yeah.
I want to make my mark on the world. Words can create a whole world, or inspire a lost soul, or even repair a broken heart, and words are the best way to make your mark.
Wow, isn't she a good writer?
Yeah, it's almost a poem.
That is like a poem. It is so snap.
It's got good structure.
Okay, yeah, you wrote it. That's good enough for both you and your mother. So she, she doesn't have to. Very good, very good. Yes. She was supposed to be in a stretching class, and then come to me accent now, and now you have to work and write here. You didn't- okay.
I said to you, I don't have nothing to do yet because I'm not a writer, but I wrote a book. Yeah, but I wrote a book in Portuguese about graphology.
Ah.
And it starts, I don't know how it starts in English because it was in Portuguese, but it starts by saying that the written words, no, when I arrived home there was some flowers on the table, but the written words on the card were so beautiful that my love for handwriting fell through from that.
Wow.
But I don't really know how to translate that to proper English because it's in
I
Portuguese.
guess
That's-
you use the word calligraphy.
No, it's no, it's not.
It's not calligraphy?
No, it's handwriting, it's analyzing handwriting.
Ah.
I see.
And
Never heard the
by
term.
accident, I wrote the book as well, like I ended up here by accident. And my father was dying, he said, you should write a book about graphology, because in Portuguese there's none.
Oh,
So 2 years later, missing him, I decided to write a
that's what inspired me to write a revolution.
And it's funny, because I said, I'm not a writer, but this is 15 years ago and I forgot.
Maybe you will start
But
it again.
do you consider someone writer if you only write one book?
Of course. You know that writer wrote Gone with the Wind. She only had one
Is that right?
book. Yeah,
Oh,
her whole life. Look at it. That's my favorite book, by the way, The Gone with the Wind.
What was the name of the book?
Gone with the Wind.
I didn't know there was
Gone with
only
the Wind.
one.
Yeah, only one book.
And the
Y-
Bourbon.
Robert, yeah.
Bourbon.
Yeah.
That's such a masterpiece. Yeah, one book. That absolutely, absolutely. Well, if you have written one book and you have the urge, why not write another one?
No, I don't.
You don't want to. That's a,
So hard work.
it is a lot of work. That's why I say you have to write for your passion. It's something you want to do. It's not something everyone want to take on. Or you can write a shorter piece, write articles and diary for yourself, just journals.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Excuse me, can I bring my handwriting to you and let you analyze it, please?
It costs about £500.
He has it, no problem.
What if it was a short sentence? What if it was a short sentence?
He invited you for his stir fry,
And the
right?
last
The
one, did I
dinner.
marry?
How cute. Okay, back there. Are we ready?
Not really. I've always been encouraged by my family to write a cookbook
Ah.
and photography together. So it's something I've been thinking about for years, but then when I became ill, I started to look at it as more of a, something to leave to family, children, and that, so it's consolidating those thoughts.
Okay. So you're thinking about a cookbook with family stories?
Yeah,
That's lovely. That's wonderful.
It's a good
That's yeah. It's more like a memoir and food. Lovely.
more of a, you know,
It's more like a story. Yeah.
I don't have a lot to, tell except
Good. Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing. Yes.
come back to me.
Okay, I come back to you. No problem. We still have 3 more. So, you ready?
Oh, sure.
What I wrote was, at 14, I was given a gift. My grandparents invited me on their 50th anniversary trip to Japan. That began a lifelong love of travel.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So that say a lot about you. So we really, yeah, know you. Okay. Now, two of you are avoiding eye contact with me, but you still have to have your you have to look at, whether you look at me or not, you still have to share with us.
I'm still trying to figure out how to put the words on paper, but it's failing to succeed. Basically, in an age where all children are given a trophy, regardless whether they win or lose, how failing brings success.
Wow. So keep working at it. That's a very, I really like the concept, what you're trying to say there. Very nice, very nice. Well, maybe do it, or we can talk when your father's not here, right? So we can. Okay, yes.
That's why she could write the book.
Yes.
I don't know much. I left the market quote machine for the longest period in 20 years. It would be a grand adventure, celebrating 2 decades of marriage and family with an amazing woman and 2 girls. Currently feeling the joy and curiosity of a young boy myself as I experience new places and meet new people.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That's so sweet.
That's all I have.
That's a lot. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Very nice. Okay, you ready?
I don't have anything.
You don't have anything.
No.
You're the one read the banquet, right?
Yeah, I finished it like 45 minutes before I came here.
You want to just say 3 sentences about the book?
All right.
What do you think? And yeah, she read this book, The
Yeah.
Banquet. Yeah, she.
I very much liked the book because it was scary a little bit, but it was very well written. Since I finished the book, I had an idea to, when I go home, make the whole 8-course meal for my family. And I would make the meal myself because for high school I am going to try out for a high school to be a cook.
Oh. So for those of you who don't know, this book is organized as Chinese menu. So it's each story leads to a recipe. So there's 8 recipes, 8 ghost story ended with 8 recipes. That's why she's talking. She's going to make 8-course meal. Hopefully you'll get a few of your friends come over to help you. It's a lot of work to make that 8 food. You see, this morning I have a lot of help. It will be a lot of work. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So now I get a little sense, a little feeling about what each of you thinking and working on. So what I have, everyone have a handout now? I gave you a lot of information. So I'm not, we only have supposedly an hour. So I will just talk briefly and you can go home. For those of you want to be, submitted, want to get published, there's a cover letter format right here. And this is very helpful. So this is also very helpful even for those of you just want to write something yourself, to ask yourself this question. This really can help you to give you a clear idea. If you have a couple project or you have a project and you have a book, you don't know where it's going. So this will help you get focused. Also, the book proposal. When I don't do book proposal anymore because right now when I write my next book, pretty much I just, my editor will just say, are you ready to the next book? I will send them like a 1 or 2 paragraph email. So that will be that. Or sometimes we just get on the phone. But for writers, you need to, just get into that. It was your early on book. You will need a book proposal. Another thing is if you write in nonfiction, the book proposal will save you. You don't need to write a whole book. A lot of times, 2 or 3 very strong chapters, like you write in a cookbook, and all you have to need is a couple good chapters and a book proposal to show the editor your vision, where you want to go. And also, for those of you writing fiction, and the book proposal forces you to be focused. You're trying to think about where the story is going, where am I going? So
Like you mentioned the other day to me that a good recipe book would have, was it 80 recipes or 40 pictures or something like that?
120 recipe. That's pretty standard. With the big publishers, they like to do at least 120 to 140 recipe. That's pretty standard. And they do 40 photograph, because photograph are pretty expensive. Unless you are like a big author, you have a big platform, they don't want to invest more than that. But 40 recipe is pretty good. But with small publisher, you can get them, talk them into do 50 recipes. Like my experience is, I don't know where that book went. The one dish meal this morning I showed you. When I submitted my book proposal to one publisher, I submitted to actually 5 publishers at the same time. And one small publisher came back, said, we want to buy you this book. And they made me offer, I'm not too happy. I didn't want to sell them my 120 recipe book for what they offer me. It's a good offer. And then this John Wiley, the big publisher, made me a very, very good offer. They're one of the top publishers. So I went back to the small publisher. I said, you know what? This big publisher made me an offer. There's no way you can match it, and I don't expect you match it. What I can do is, why don't we just write something different? I can do a book with you for 50 recipes. They were thrilled. So my one dish meal was very successful, came out last year, and this book came out this year. So I have one proposal, so I sold 2 books.
What percentage of the proceeds do you get?
To keep, it's all negotiable, but the standard is about a 15% gross. When we say gross, is whatever the sale price is. Some publisher were trying to get the net, and that's when you negotiate, you would double that. And then right now, I think the most important thing we talk about ebook. The ebook rights, because more and more books sell the ebook, and you really have to try to get as high ebook rate as you can. And another thing is I always get an escalation. When my books sell to a certain number, I want to escalate to the next level. Many writers didn't know, they don't get that. And for the fiction, another way the writer is important is the foreign rights. I always keep my foreign rights. I get 80 and 20 split. I get to 80%, they get 20. The publisher always going to fight you. They want 50, but after you insist a while, and they give in. And that really paid off, because some of my book has translated into many different languages.
So what do you call that? I'm sorry.
The foreign rights. Foreign rights.
Forwarding rights?
Foreign, like overseas, foreign rights. Foreign rights. Yeah, like the translation rights. Any other questions? Yes.
How do you manage to work with different publishers at the same time? Because don't most writers have sort of their publisher, and you seem to have been able to
do what there's a couple of reasons why I did it. First is because I write different genres. Mm-hmm. Another one is I just do what I do. I don't like people tell me what to do. That's why I don't have an agent. Because the agent, I had 4 top agents in the United States, and we all parted nicely. One of my last agent was still very good friends, and I recommend her good writers, and I just told her, I said, I think I'm better by myself. And she agreed, because my last contract I negotiated myself. I told her, I said, I want all these things. And she said, oh, Yin, I never got this for any other writer. I said, but I want it. And she got it for me. And she said, now I know I can get this for other writers too. So because that, and also, I'm not famous per se, but the publisher like my work. So they come to me, said, can we publish your work? And one thing is, being a writer, you need to know each publisher, each season, they have one big writer they push and they promote. And if I have 2 books with that publisher, that means I'm competing with myself. So I must find another publisher to promote. Like this, I was just in Las Vegas before I came. I have 2 publishers was promoting me, my cookbook and my fiction. If it's one publisher, that would be different. So they both have a special event to feature my book and promoting me, feature a special lunch and dinner with the book reviewer. So that's one reason I do that. And also I have 8 illustrators working with me on my picture books. I write, I didn't have any on board. And those illustrators, they're very interested. For those of you who want to write a picture book, you need to know they are artists. The artists, they are sometimes not very focused. Like one of my illustrators was very, very good. The Runaway Walk turned out to be a very beautiful book, but took him 3 years to illustrate it. And I went on his Facebook, I checked, he's spent a lot of time playing flute in Barcelona. He's in Barcelona, he's an artist, having a great time. I keep thinking, work on the book. But he's, he's also like a musician. So that's why I don't want to wait for them. I just sell the book to another publisher, have other illustrator working on my book. So whenever they finish, they finish. I don't care because I have other work, it's going to come out at the same time.
Who is, you said in your new children's picture book, you're working with an illustrator who you're really excited about.
I'm very, I forgot his last, he's in UK.
Yeah.
He's a 3-time New York Times bestseller. He won many, many awards. Yeah, and that's because my publisher really put a lot in. This is going to be the featured title for next January. I'm really excited. I recommend them to another artist who did a Runaway Walk. He's pretty good, but he's not New York Times bestseller. But my publisher keeps saying, no. I didn't understand why. And until he brought on this illustrator, that's because they really want this book. They pushed this book. So I'm very happy.
Have you seen pictures yet?
They sent me 3 or 4 of his book. The one New York Times bestseller book asked me if I like his work. I don't know anything about art. So every time I do it, I have my best friends just illustrated Obama's sister's book, Juji. And she's a very famous artist, so we're good friends. I invite her over for lunch. She doesn't cook. I said, read all this book, look all this artist's work. Which one should I go with? So she tell me. So that's why she helped me pick the one, Crouching Tiger. One of my book was on New York Times bestseller, was because she helped me pick that artist. So yeah, it's really interesting. I love what I do. I can't imagine doing anything else. Any other questions? If not, and I want to continue on this, there's also the resource for writers. And I think this is very helpful for those of you thinking about writing and you want to get some support. And there's some website. You can just check it out and also read about it and some of the book as well. The online resource and the some of the books, writer's book. Copyright. I want to talk a little bit about copyright. I get asked this a lot by the new writer about copyright. They're always very worried about someone steal their ideas. What I want to say is the copyright really protect you. The most important thing is every time you write something, you always put your name on. And whenever you show somebody, you always should have your name on. So you are automatically protected in your lifetime plus 50 years. So you don't. No, the thing is, I always tell people, yes, you cannot copyright your idea. People can always steal your idea. But can they write like you? It's almost like your footprint, your voice. I don't worry about someone, because only me can tell the story my way. So that's something people cannot steal. So that's why you are special. The voice is very important. How did the writer have developed their voice? And that's something, you have to work on. You read 10 novels. They have a very different way to tell the stories. The writer, how they use their language. So that's their voice. That's how the format, how they do. That's very unique. So no one can steal that. Yes?
I'm not a writer, but I definitely have ideas on what I would want to express.
Mm-hmm.
Are there people I can hire that can basically write it? I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Where
they
do you
call
find those
ghostwriter.
peop- Right, where do you find those people and how do you find the one that would be best for this category, for the subject
That's a
that-
little tricky. Ghostwriter, there's a couple things you need to consider. Some of the ghostwriter for hire, you just pay them certain amount, they write the book for you. And some of them, they want a part of your royalty. So then whatever, if your books sell very well, they want a part of it. Another one you need to be worried, you always have to make sure you need to sign the contract. They're not going to, if you don't want people to know you use a ghostwriter, they should not, after the book became New York Times seller, come out to tell all kind of stories. So that's to find a good ghostwriter. I think that's take a lot some looking, because a good writer, they will write their own work, own book. Why would they want to be a ghostwriter? Unless they really compile for the story, they really feel passionate about it. You can find tons of bad writers want to be a ghostwriter. They're happy to take your money to write your work. So what you need to do is write you a sample chapter, or 2 or 3, see if you like it. Maybe have 2 or 3 ghostwriter to write a sample chapters, and then see if this is. And I know many bad stories. Is with cookbook industry, a lot of times it's a famous chef. They need to write a cookbook. The publisher will pay them a lot of money, and then they find a ghostwriter, or they call the co-writer to write a cookbook. It just many times tend to a disaster. And when you have 2 person, the chef, even though they cannot really write it, that's not what they do. And the writer want to do what they want to do, and then they disagree with each other. So it can get so if it's a ghostwriter, you need to make very clear they have to really follow your vision, and they really follow your direction. But the most important thing, they have to be a good writer. So maybe was for you to hire a professional person to read their work, to tell you if they're good enough. So that's a very good, interesting question.
I was going to have one more comment about copyrights that people might not know.
Yes.
If you take whatever you've done and want to protect it, you send it a copy to the U.S. Copyright Office.
That's the old way. Yeah, they do that.
And you pay a fee, but all that really guarantees you is that you win in court, someone will pay your legal fees.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
You gotta win to get.
you got to
It's
win to get the fees. It's so.
There's no big publisher I know of will steal your work. Right. The small individual that want to steal your idea, so what? Can they really write your story? They probably, that if they write it, it's a different story. So
Technical information is different.
that's true. That is very true. Yeah, you have a patent. For literary work, I think it's very different. Yeah. So yeah, for all those years, I never had any problem with someone trying to steal my work. Oh, I don't care.
What if, this instance, I've found lots of writing poems and plays and history, and from my father when he was a little boy to an older man, and the writing is beautiful. And I want to get that all translated from Albanian, and I have tested somebody just on a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently they're doing a good job. But I'd like for them to do the whole lot. Like, I don't want them to pinch his stories, his poems, his songs, his plays. How do I protect myself from a translator taking that all from me? Because apparently it's quite brilliant writing. I've had people
Oh,
do
you
it.
mean to steal it and
Yeah,
trying to
but
publish
it's
that?
very unique and brilliant.
The best way I can think of is to try to see if you can get the book published in your native language.
You have to get, yeah,
That's the best because
just so much of plays,
you pick the best.
yeah. But see, I don't know how because I can't read Albanian.
Oh, okay. So you know
need
that.
translate it for me, and I have some, and then I've had some Albanians in America read it, and they just said you need to get this published. It's brilliant, but I'm just too frightened to give it to just anybody.
Then I will not give any individual. What I would do is, if you think it's a good, I believe you is a good writing and good work, perhaps you approach the publisher, the biggest publisher you can find, the reputable publisher you can find, and set a meeting with the editor, explain then what this is, see if they're willing to help you to pick out what they think is the best, and then you sign the book contract, you get whatever percentage you agreed upon for your rights, for the translation, and then then you don't have to worry about the thing, and they will have a professional translator write
I
it.
don't even know if I do publishing. I'm just saying, just for my interest to protect it, because if it's that good, I'm scared somebody will steal it.
Mhm.
and publish it.
Then the individual, you just pretty much have to do your research to find someone you trust.
One other question about recipes.
Mhm.
What if someone takes your recipes that you come up with, and they add 1 or 2 extra ingredients to it? Is that a new recipe?
Yes. The rule of the recipe is if somebody changes 3 ingredients, that's a new recipe. But you know what? I don't care. My recipe is so different. And when I do my presentation, when I do my show, only me can tell that it's all connected with, this is like my journey from east to west. It's my personal story. If they want to steal it, they steal. I have a website steal my recipe all the time.
No, but I'm saying, is that kind of a copyright rule or law that you have to change, if it changes?
You have to change 3 things. Yes, that's
Three
it.
things or 3 ingredients?
It doesn't matter, ingredients or the instructions.
process,
Three,
the process.
yeah, 3 areas, yeah.
Okay.
That's why there's so many recipes online. So but do they have the, the good publisher, like you read my cookbook,
Right.
they all have a good head notes. Right now, that's more important, that's just as important as a recipe. You need to have a personal story. You need to show your reader share with your reader why you developed this recipe. That is hard to steal. They cannot possibly steal your personal story, change 3 places, and then resell it. Good question, everyone. Yes? Did I answer your question?
You betcha.
Good. Okay. So the copyright we talk about. Let's talk about a little bit about the structure. This applies to anything you write. For the younger writers back there, when you write the school papers, stories, assignments. So it's a plot line. This is just a simple way to put this together. This is what I do. Every time when I write something, when I write magazine articles, when I write short story or long story or chapters, this is what I use to follow. You should always have a hook. Some of you already have, like Mike and my Bianca has a great hook, and I think one other of you. That's what the good hook is. What want to make a reader want to pick up the book to read it. I sometimes just go to the bookstore, and I will spend the afternoon. I will pick up many books I read. If there's a strong hook, I will continue to read it. I will read a little bit more, then decide if I want to buy it or not. If they don't have a strong hook at the beginning, they start just da-da-da-da-da, beautiful writing and not going anywhere until third paragraph, I just not going to have the patience, because that set the tune of the book, where it's going. That's why some books just don't sell. Not every, took me a while to figure this out. Not every book is worth to finish reading. Some of them just not worth your time, right? There's so many bad book publishers. You wonder, even by very reputable publisher. So the hook is very important. So I think I read the beginning of my Revolution. This is the one I worked over 100 times. And you want at the beginning, you want to have the setting, ideally, the character, introduce your character, and have a hook. And this is what I have. So the summer of 1971, I have the time. Before I turn 9, we know how old the main character is. What's the last happy season in my childhood? That's my hook. So my goal is I get really, really happy and rewarded when people tell me when they pick up my book and they stay up late and they finish it. And then I feel that is so worth it. With all those endless hours editing, polishing, think about the structure. And then when you have a good beginning, you need to have, next thing you need to do is then what happened? We need to have action. We need to have something happen. And we need to have a very engaging middle. This is difficult. Sometimes some good writers, they work very, very hard. They rewrite it. They always start rewrite at the beginning. The beginning very strong. And then they got the middle, the story started, slowing down. And that's the time I read a book, I put it down, and I start picking up another book. I never come back to this book. And then as a writer, you failed. You lost your reader. And then even though you went through the beginning, then I do this, as a writer, I wish I don't. Sometimes I feel like I no longer have enjoyment, just read a book as a writer, for enjoyment. I read as a writer. And I critique. So I start thinking, if I read a book in the middle, I always tend to guessing. I pause for a moment, I guess the ending. If just like watching a movie. And I always tell my husband, if the movie, I always halfway through, I say, I know what's going to happen. And if the story happened like that, I just wasted 2 hours of my time. And if it's not, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. There's a few movies I'm just thrilled, the ending. So as a good writer, you always want to have a climax before your ending. And that the ending has to be unexpected. If your reader can predict your ending, you failed. The ending has to be satisfying and has to be surprising. I love Charles Dickens. That's people always ask what I read. I read him. Think about at the beginning. He always throws out all those characters. And every time I read his work, how is he going to gather them all together? And he always have a way. And it's very satisfying. And it's surprisingly too. It's not forced. Sometimes you used to read a book at the end that they have a happy ending. They're so forced. And might as well just have an unhappy ending. It's better to try to force yourself have a happy ending. So, good ending is what makes people remember your book. I hope when you guys read my work, my book, accomplish both. Have a strong hook, make you want to read my work, and have a good ending, make you remember my work. I don't know. At least that's what I try to achieve. I work very, very hard. So, questions about writing? Structure? Everyone's so quiet. Am I overwhelming you guys?
No. What would you consider a reasonable amount of pages for a book that is fiction, preferably, in my question case?
Okay.
What would you consider not breaking any boundaries either way, too long or too short? So what do you consider the page-wise?
People ask this a lot. I always tell people, don't worry about the page. Think about a good story. If you can tell your story short, by all means, tell your story short.
Okay, but then will it be 100 pages? I mean, what? I mean,
Like, how many of you know Sarah Plain and Tall? For those of you, that's how many pages? Yeah, isn't that a beautiful writing? It's a children's book. It's a classic. That book sold millions of copies and made into a movie. That's what, 40 pages?
What's it called?
Sarah Plain and Tall. Yeah.
I read it in 1 hour.
Yeah. Sarah Plain and Tall.
Plain.
And The Little Woman, that's another classic. Some of them, they're short. It doesn't matter. It really is what take you. Now, some people think, oh, sure, that's why I get people ask me all the time, say, would you please read my picture book? Would you please critique my work? I say, no, I don't. Because I know, because those are the people, they just sit down in 2 hours, wrote the picture book, and I know it's going to waste my time. And writing short is very hard. It's so easy to write long. When I say write short, picture book is only 1,000 words. I have 8, 9 picture books. I spend so much time on my picture book. With 1,000 words, you need to have a hook, you need to develop your character, you need to have a climax, and you need to have a surprise ending. We talk about each word was a diamond. It's almost writing picture book like each word was 2 diamonds. So as when you write short magazine articles, sometimes I will get a call from the editors that I have over 80 feature articles. I write for many, many magazines in US. Whenever I bored, I would call one of my editor friends and say, okay, I'm in between books, I can write a feature for you. And they say, okay, whatever you want to write. But they said, but we only want 500 words. I just know that's going to be a very difficult assignment. 500 words, I need to get to the point. Just like the article I shared with Karen this morning, one of my writer friends shared with me one article on the Huntington Post. Beautiful article. Every word's counted. To move the story forward. Every word in that article, I feel like it's like moving to the forward direction. So writing short is difficult. Writing long, you are in a long fiction, couple chapters, not too exciting. People kind of forgiving you a little bit. If you have enough, hooks at the beginning, they will forgiving you trying to read more. Yeah, but with short, you fail very quickly. Especially writing picture book for children, they have a very short attention span. It's practically every page need to be a cliffhanger. a little thread to make them keep want to turning the page. I really enjoy teaching the small writing workshop. That's why when I have all the writers come at the beginning, all think they have the best masterpiece in the world. And then when we really get into this, we work it, and I hope they will say, oh, I can't believe I wrote that at the end. And they see how they have evolved, how their work is much shorter, much tighter, and have much strong, the structure. Again, we'll come back to the structure. That's my strength. I feel the second language is my challenge. I always tell people, if I can do it, everyone can do it. You all can probably write much better than I am with your English, your first language. But it's the structure. I think I enjoy the structure part, and I'm very good. I can look at the story right away. I can see where's the hole. So that's, yes.
You ever write in Chinese language?
I was just gonna
Start
ask
off.
her the same
I mean,
thing.
do you have a Chinese keyboard that you
No, I do the stroke, like I saw Karen was doing that. I just write by, I forgot my pinyin. So I wrote by stroke. I published a lot of poetry before I left China. I guess I was always a kind of little sentimental, like a kind of a girl, and I like to write. When I was sad and when I was a little girl, I write. And that's how I coped through the revolution, the difficulty. And I just saw writing as a way for me to entertain myself, to survive the difficult situation. So, yeah, but not writing in Chinese. I don't think my Chinese is good enough now to even translate my own work.
do you have a kanji keyboard where if you're writing to friends that you can write in Chinese?
I don't need a kanji keyboard. I can just switch off a software. I just type in pinyin. The Chinese words will just come out. Yeah, you just use an English keyboard.
You would use English
English keyboard, yeah. Actually, on my phone later I can show you. I have a software. I just write on this, and then the Chinese words will just appear. Yeah, that's true. Handwritten.
Use Google for doing that?
No. It's a Chinese software I download. And now there's even better on WeChat, another software I can just talk, and the Chinese words just pop up. How about that? Yeah. And I don't have to write. Yeah, WeChat. That's how I keep in touch with all my friends in Asia. WeChat. W-E. Yeah, WeChat. I tell all my friends that I love my WeChat. That people can leave a message, you can talk, and the words pop out. I hate to write long emails. I don't. I get so many emails. So I always tell my friend, if you want to talk to me, and just call me.
Well, how do dyslexic people work with kanji characters? I always get my words backwards, or I misspell, the E's and the I's. Do they have such difficulties with the characters, Do they get them upside down or sideways?
I don't think that's likely, because Chinese language, at least the words, I feel it's like a painting. If you think about water, look like just 3 dots, it's like a water.
It's a character, right?
Right? This is water. How can you make it, anyone can know, you wouldn't have the water like that, you have the water like this, right? So it's a...
So you don't have any dyslexic writers in China?
Well, if they do, I don't know then. I only know smart people. All my friends are pretty smart. Otherwise, they are my friend.
Not all dyslexics are dumb.
Well,
What's the name of your book, The Crouching Tiger?
Crouching Tiger. Crouching
That's
Tiger.
it.
That's it. Crouching
What
Tiger.
is about Crouching Tiger? I saw a movie that had this tiger.
Yes. It's not it's a different. It's not the Crouching Tiger. The book I wrote is a relation between the grandfather and grandson. It was inspired after my father passed away, when my son was 2 years old. So every time I saw grandson and grandpa walking down the street, I often picture, or get very sad for a long time. I picture what their relationship would be like if my father's still alive. So that's what inspired me to write that story. And so then I thought, well, just write a story about grandpa and grandson, that's not enough. That's pretty boring. So I want to make things even more difficult for myself for 1,000 words. I want to add another layer. So I set the story as the Chinese New Year as a background. And then I said, wow, I want to see what else can I do to make this even more layer. So then I used the Chinese martial arts to show how the grandpa and grandson's friendship developed. So there's a man crouching tiger.
Is it martial art?
It's a book about the Chinese martial arts and the relationship between the grandpa and the grandson, and it's set during the Chinese New Year celebration. That's why the reviewer just loved it, because they loved the book with different layers. Sometimes you think the book, there's some good books, I go back and read over and over again. If a book you read 5 minutes, that's just one of the books. You want the book have a depth. And that takes thinking. That book took me 10 years to write. 1,000 words.
What's your favorite Dickens book that you like the best?
Great Expectation.
Yeah, I love that.
Isn't that just great? Yes?
The crown jewel of a writer is sometimes to have a movie or a television show adapted by the book. So when you're writing your book, do you think of how it would be adapted to a screenplay, or is that come into the plot?
Yes, when I was writing Banquet, I was thinking that. Once, if you read the first story, I remember one of my producer friends said, if you want to produce a movie, it's always good to have a Western, American character in that. So then they can get a big movie star be in the movie. So that's why I said, okay, in this series, even though it's the collection Chinese ghost story, what can I do to introduce American character? Yes, I did saw that. So that's why there's American character in the story. And when I was do you remember David?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So, and a very fun character too. So when I was in Singapore, I was talking to the producer. He was even discussing, he said, do you have anyone you have in mind who will act in this movie and all that? I said, no, not really. So we would talk a little bit about that. And also, now if you want to make this into a movie, and a graphic novel, that's another format. That's important. So my publisher just emailed me. They want me to adapt Revolution into a graphic novel. But graphic novel, because a lot of movie is made based on the graphic novel. But my true passion is also the Banquet. I thought it would make a great 8 short ghost stories. When you finish reading my Revolution, you tell me what you think. This one sold so many copies. It's like won many awards around the world. So yeah, so I'm going to talk to her. I said, well, we can talk. So either I do the Banquet first or do the Revolution first.
I noticed the type and spacing is quite, readable, the way it's been produced.
They spend so much time design. The publisher spend a lot of time. And I have to show you this one. They're trying to outdo each other. This is 2 different publishers. So the Revolution, that's me. I was 18 on the cover. And so with this one, they made this into a jacket. And when I went to my publishers, upside down, like this. When I went to the house, and he had this on his wall, my editor. And they did it very beautiful. So the jacket is very important. If they don't have much invest in your book, sometimes they just, whatever, they just do a jacket. So there's a group of writers they call mid-list writer. They know the book is probably going to sell between 5,000 to 10,000 copies, so they don't want to invest that much into it. And so they probably not going to. So, but if it's a jacket, if they want to do a good work, and then they will, this one they also have a chopstick with skeleton on the book. All this, they put a lot of thought into the design. I'm very, very thankful and happy what they did. So.
With modern publishing techniques now, they really don't need to have that many copies produced to be able to make money. Is that correct?
No. Yes, that make money.
Or be profitable. I use that word.
The break-even point is about 10,000, depending on publisher. So if the book can sell 10,000, they'd be thrilled. They'd be very happy. But the thing is, if the book won an award, all the library and the school going to buy it. And that just, now every time I have a new book come out, all the library in the United States, they're going to buy it. So that's a guaranteed sale.
But you have to get a Library of Congress number, and then they will buy it. Is that correct?
You mean, what you mean, the Congress?
The Library of Congress assigns a number to each book that they believe that should be in libraries, or will wind up being, every published book, if they believe it credible, will wind up in the U.S. Library of Congress.
I don't know about AOA, that's a library association. Yeah. That's why the publishers send all their big authors there to present to the librarians.
I think all books get
Yeah,
They all
but-
get that, yeah, you all get ISPM. Is that what you
There's
call?
some criteria for it, I forget what it was, 'cause I just visited the Library of Congress, and they were telling me they have a copy basically
Yes, dear.
of every book that has been published in America and also in foreign countries.
How many books does an author have to sell before he gets on the New York service, the bestseller list?
It's different, depend the genre. For picture book, it would be different. It's basically you are competing with the book published that season. See who get to sell the most copy. It's
So they're
different.
all joined together?
They
to
join
do-
together, they see who's, yeah. So some season, if you have less competition, some you have more competition.
So when you do a book tour,
So an average-
that helps you sell your books, obviously.
I still didn't get, like, what would be the numbers?
The numbers, I think at least have to be 100.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 100,000.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
But when you do a book tour, which you've probably done some,
Yes.
that helps sell your book.
of course. That's the key, you know.
Who pays for that trip?
The publisher, of course.
Publisher will
Yeah,
pay
the
for it.
publisher pay for the, yeah. And it's very costly. Besides the book tour, they will also schedule, like I will go to do the radio interview. So every city I go, it's like for a while, it was exhausting. So I would be at one city per day. I will get there, they will have an escort pick me up in a limousine, and then I will go to the television station. I would do a show, and I would do a radio, and then I will host. I don't do book signing. I just wasting time. They agree. I don't like do book signing. I would hosting a banquet, a dinner for all the book reviewer or the librarians in that case. And then I sleep, and then I move on to the next city, next day, do it again. So my thing tell that, like with Revolution, I did a 19-city book tour. So what I do is I go for 1 week, I stay home for 1 week, I wrote my banquet, and then I travel again. I need a 1 week break. It's just really, it's like after a while, like your energy just sucked dry by all those people. You're constantly talking. That really helped. Not only the book tour helps sell book, it help you get an award. You get it in front of the award committee. And then they know your book, and then next time, then I get invited to speak at the city, and if I have, and then I will also do, in between that, I do radio interview. So radio media interview is, they schedule for 19 cities. I get up 3:30 in California. I start to catch all the morning drive time. Start from New York, Boston, all the way moving across the United States. So I will reach 1.9 million listener in 3 hours time. I'll be done by 9 o'clock
On different stations, is that correct?
on different stations. So I get a break, 5 minutes between each station.
Local stations are part of a network.
No, a lot of, NPR. I do a lot of NPR, local station, NPR. When I did a NPR morning edition, that was wild. My book, the cookbook, I did NPR the morning before I get on was on the 700 ranking. When I finished, in 3 hours, I got a number 7 on Amazon. It just jumped. It was just unbelievable. And then after that, it was like, okay.
Let's do this again.
Well, I don't know. Yes.
Do you have access to your account on Amazon? I mean, can you pull up and say, oh, I sold 6 books today, or whatever?
Everybody have access. You can look the ranking up, but Amazon is a very small portion of writer's sale. My book is sell a lot of them is school and library, and the classroom. Like because my book became required reading in school, so when I go to visit school, I cannot possibly sign the book because the school they buy 30 copies at a time for each class. Each children will have 1 copy of my book. So what I do is I offer to sign the 1 page of the sticker, and they can make a copy. The teacher can put a sticker in the book, and I will sign the teacher's copy if I feel like it. So yeah, so that's where my majority of my sale is. This is through the school and library, and then the foreign sale. Another country. Like my book sell very very well in Japan. Hopefully in Singapore too. After my talk, they invite me to come back for 2 weeks next year for their conference. Yeah. And so I will be back to Singapore.
How many purchasing libraries are there in the United States?
I think there's at least 20,000, just the main one. Then they have branches, and they don't. If it's a good popular book, they don't just buy 1 copy. If the book get to keep checking out, and my book never on the shelf, at least in my local library. They always check out. They buy 5, 6 at a time. So.
How often do you have to renew your library card to make that happen?
Oh, I don't. They all knows me. When my husband forget to return a book, have the fine, I walk in, they will say, oh, don't worry about it. We'll take this off your account. I feel really, don't forget return the book. So, any other questions?
Very good, this was wonderful.
Excellent.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. So next time we can come back, and if some of you want to spend a little time, do some writing, we can come back and do a little more serious critiquing, writing. This is very intimate space, and we can work on writing. And I can also share you feel of the rules how to critique each other's work or critique your own work. So next time, might not see that the day before I leave, and we can spend a little bit more time
When
together.
is that going to be so we can prepare?
I leave on the 18th, so it's on the 17th.
Okay.
17. And I have something just for you and Jude. Both of you are writing cookbook. I have some guideline just for cookbook. I didn't want to bore the rest of you, so I have this for you. Thank you very much. Thank you.